China and Pakistan have an all-weather cooperation that's been described as stronger than steel, higher than the Himalayas, deeper than the oceans and sweeter than honey. Now, following the April 22nd attack, China expressed support for Pakistan's, quote, legitimate security concerns and supports its efforts to safeguard its sovereignty and security interests, while calling on both sides to exercise restraint. A few days later, conflict site Clash Report says Pakistan released photos of its JF-17C fighters equipped with new Chinese long-range PL-10 and PL-15 missiles for the first time. In addition, at the UN Security Council, China helped Pakistan, which is currently a non-permanent member, to shape the UN's response and reduce India's international support through the language of the Security Council statement on the Pahalgam attack. In terms of China's support for Pakistan over this particular incident, how would you define it?
So I think the support for Pakistan has been both two fronts, both diplomatic and material. I think the material front is basically the provide of some, arms and weapons that can actually be used in the battlefield. And what we just saw basically is the actual missile being targeted at, Indian fighter jets.
So is there a difference, Ronan, between, because we know on an ongoing basis, China does supply arms to Pakistan. If it supplied them post the April 22nd incident, is that significant?
So I think what is really significant is actually put those arms under test, because the strategic implication for Beijing is actually they don't really know if these weapon systems are very useful in fighting wars. And this provides actually for like a litmus test.
Venus, how far do you think China's all-weather partnership would go in terms of, supporting Pakistan if any conflict was to break out?
I think whatever has happened directly impacts China, and I think it involves China. For example, the Indian investigation agencies have said that they've found a hidden Huawei phone set at the Pahalgam site. Now that itself indicates a whole lot of things. First of all, Huawei is banned in India, right? So you cannot just purchase Huawei somewhere in India. It needs to be smuggled from somewhere, and from where would obviously it be smuggled? That's point one. Second, Huawei's telecom networks are controlled by Chinese state telecom operations. So you can have a Huawei SIM card and subscription plans only, it cannot happen without their knowledge. So that's point one. I think that's something of very important evidence that India would be going on deeply into it. The second point is that there is a Pakistani veteran whose name is Adil Raja, and he has stated on his X channel, and he's been quoted a lot, he has said that this has been done, Pakistan has acted with China's approval. So that's another thing I want to say. So I think China is very much...
What's the evidence for that, Venus?
Sorry?
So what's the evidence to say, what evidence does he have to say that China supported it? Is that going too far?
Insider. So he's an insider talking about something, right? Now, please imagine that if you are talking about something as grave as Pahalgam happening, people do not share evidences on our table or on media tables, right? What we are analyzing here are, the viewpoints or the analysis which are shared by people who are authoritative. And what is meant by being authoritative? That means you come with a certain background which gives you the authority to talk about it.
Ronan, do you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I don't think that I can just settle that controversies, but what I want to point out is that, obviously, China and Pakistan, they have some, cooperation going on, that's for sure. But we should not, basically take the strategic partnership as an indicator that China will be doubling down, in this incident. I think China will do something, but it's not in China's favor to actually make it further escalatory. What they want to see is actually the calming down from both sides, so that Beijing can actually lead the attention elsewhere.
Okay, Ghulam.
I think India's evidence comes from Bollywood movies, as they have the movies plan, so they think that they also happen in the real sense. There is no evidence. We have Pakistan is open for evidence to show them and come forward to investigate. About China, I think it's a perception strongly exists, as my colleagues also said, that China supporting Pakistan. But my own feeling is that since 1990s, China has decoupled its relationship with Pakistan from its relationship with India. And China increasingly tried to portray itself as a responsible neighbor. Second, I think China is capable to handle India independently. China does not need Pakistan's help. China is aware that bringing Pakistan into Sino-Indian conflict would in fact complicate the situation rather than making any solution. So certainly we cannot totally decouple in international relation, but to my understanding, China is greatly impartial, neutral, and it's in China's interest that both India and Pakistan de-escalate.
Right. You know, we're in very dangerous territory at the moment, Ghulam. What are the factors that, you know, pull us back from the brink of conflict breaking out?
I think they should have more channel of communication. Both countries, India and Pakistan, should have more channels of communications. They should talk more. And
what would be the basis of those talks? And we heard from Venus there that they don't want to give the information that they have gathered, their intelligence has gathered.
Actually, it's very unfortunate. It's a long history, over 70 years of hostility. I think open maximum channel, like if you ask a particular this incident, I think they should they bring the neutral player. Maybe Middle Eastern countries acceptable to India, not China, because India will not accept China's mediation. United States could be, UN could be. They could bring forward and take the evidence from both sides, and then they can make a decision.
Okay, let's go on to the US now. So Donald Trump's first reaction to India's strikes this morning was to say, that's a shame. I hope it ends quickly. US Secretary of State and National Security Advisor Marco Rubio on X said he echoed Trump's comments and was talking to both sides for peace. Now, days before India's response, Pakistan had called on its Muslim brothers like Saudi Arabia, the UAE and Kuwait to help impress on India the need to de-escalate. Venus, so we've seen events unfolding following Hamas's October 2023 attack on Israel. Now that India has struck Pakistan proper on its territory, what do you think is the potential for any conflict or incursions between India and Pakistan to spread to a wider conflict that may bring in allies?
First of all, I think we are not correctly quoting Trump. He did say it's a shame and it should end, but in between there were 3 more statements. So
which you have mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Let's not, misstate him, because I think those 3 statements in between mean a lot to the entire context. Second thing, I don't think that it's going to escalate. That's my personal take on it. Indian government, even before the strikes, yesterday morning it started to come out that Indian government has directed its state governments to start to do war drills. Indian Navy is already on alert. India would be on high alert. And I think it would be, wrong to say that Pakistan is just going to strike the same way. I think India would be on high alert for a long time from now, because Pakistan can strike through proxies as well.
So you didn't think that it would unravel? What are the other reasons?
I don't think it's going to unravel in any expected way, the way we expect or the way we discuss on media tables. I think none of the side is immature. They are professional military, militaries. India is one of the best militaries of the world. So sure. I think they are certainly counting their options that are available to them.
Is it because you don't think that Pakistan will strike India?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you're mature enough, you would be ready for any kind of a thing. In interest of your national security, India would be ready for any kind of an escalation, which would not be just an escalation on the border, right? Currently, what is happening is that there is an anti-India front being created, which consists of Pakistan, Turkey, and China, right? So there are going to be diplomatic fallouts. There are going to be fallouts on the geo-economic, geopolitical forums, on multilateral forums. So there are going to be, more narrative warfares on it. So I think India, as a mature nation, would be very aware of the overall repercussions of what's happening.
And let's widen it out to the Indo-Pacific region, Ronan. What sort of impacts could, any tit-for-tat series of military action, perhaps, if we say not conflict, what impact would that have on the Indo-Pacific, the security there?
Okay, so for starters, I actually agree with Venus that I don't see, a full-scale war being happened in the future being a very probable event. And basically, both sides just mentioned their incentives to de-escalate. And I think that also applies to China and the United States as well. So that also has some implication for the Indo-Pacific. For China and for the United States, they are going to back their allies, but just under the table, and they're not going to double down because they don't want to see it getting out of control, right? So they are going to sometimes, or you can call it like lip service, or just provide something that they might need, but no further than that, right? So everybody will take some measured responses.
But we saw what happened after the Hamas attack. Nobody wanted that to spill over either, but various actors were
there's a
brought
key
in.
difference between these two diets. So
Exactly.
basically,
I agree.
Yeah, in terms of the Pakistan and the India, both sides are nuclear powers, right? So that basically is the defining feature of this diet because of precisely the presence of nuclear weapons. Every relevant party is on the table will try to take measured actions. So that's the reason why, Indo-Pacific will not have a war.
Okay, Ghulam, just give you the last word. So obviously we can see that the problems at the root of this instate date all the way back possibly to 1947, the partition of British India. Can this problem ever be solved? I know it's a big question, but what would it take?
I think there's no solution at the near or midterm future between India and Pakistan. It's very complicated. It involves national narratives of both sides. So I don't see any major de-escalations or improvement of relationship between two sides in mid to near future.